right, if I could get everyone's attention, please. Whoa, that's loud. Is that loud? Is that loud? It felt like it echoed. Um, all right, I'd like to call to order this Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for Monday, October 7th. Please note that Vice Mayor McKee is out of town. Everyone else is present. If everyone will please stand for the opening prayer by Alderman McKee. Please remain standing for the pledge after that.
Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight and Lord, we just humble ourselves. Lord, thank you for this town that we live in. Thank you for the wonderful citizens we have. And Lord, thank you for the staff and every department that works for us. Lord, thank you for what they do and what they serve our town and what they accomplish. Lord, we want to lift up East Tennessee and North Carolina and that whole area, Lord, that's just been ravaged. And Lord, we can't even fathom what those people went through last week. And Lord, just give them a peace that they know that people around this country and the rest in Arlington are praying for them, Lord. And I just want to lift them up. Lord, I just pray for our town, pray for this board. Lord, give us wisdom tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Dr. Clark, since you're our new superintendent, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Mayor Wisman. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. I think the microphones are a little loud tonight, so you may want to. Yeah. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the August 5th, 2024 meeting? Motion by Mr. Barker. Second by Mr. Harmon. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Next up, we have grievances and comments from citizens. This is where we allow you to come up and speak on any particular topic, whether it's on the agenda tonight or not. If it's for the one public hearing we have, we do ask you to wait until that public hearing and speak on that particular topic. But you can come up and we'll give you up to 3 minutes to, we just ask you to state your name and address for the record. And please note that it's not necessarily a Q&A, but if we can answer your questions during the meeting, we will, or staff will get back with you later, but it's not necessarily a dialogue. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. Is anyone here to speak on any particular topic? Any comments? Seeing none. Move on to communications. Sheriff's Department report. Do we have a representative from the Sheriff's Department? Are you giving a report, or are we just doing the one that's on file?
I just did make a short notice.
Oh, okay. So we're going to put you on the spot. You want? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, you don't... We'd love to have you up here and give a... It's up to you. You got dressed up for this occasion.
All right, so this is going to be the incident table right here, and the dates are going to range on September the 25th. You're going to have a motor vehicle theft. There was the entries made through the front door. On August 30th and September 30th, you had two non-specific thefts. One was a lawful entry, and the other is an unknown. You have 3 thefts from a building, 2 through the front door, 1 through an unlocked front door. All happened between September the 13th, the 14th, and the 30th. Then on the 20th and 23rd, there's going to be 2 thefts from motor vehicles. Both windows were broken. 1 door and 1 window, and then you had a vandalism, which was probably also probably from a vehicle, but nothing was taken. So it's classified as a vandalism. So looks like it's probably going to be a lot of these things occurring overnight while we're sleeping. So I make sure I have the guys in patrol know to come out here and patrol a little bit more. Compared to the numbers before, I believe it's went down as far as the crime over the past couple months. So,
Yeah, went down a little bit.
well, the theft from building, he went up. But the other thing is they didn't I guess it went down one. But that's just here in Arlington, so, yes.
I didn't get your name, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sergeant Christian, nice to meet y'all. Nice to meet y'all. How y'all doing?
Any questions for Sergeant?
No questions?
No?
All right.
We thank you for being here. Sorry to put you on the spot.
It's fine. It's fine. I enjoy coming. I actually was a detective out here earlier this year, working crimes out here. So when they asked me to come to the meeting today, I didn't have no problems pulling up.
Okay.
So
Welcome back.
yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. There you go. There you go. Thank you. And you don't have to hang out. You don't have to hang out. I always try to let everybody go, but you do have a gun, so you can stay. Chief Harville, the fire department report.
Hey, good evening. The report for August is on file. I'm here to answer any questions, if you have any questions about the August report. This will be for the September 2024 report. A total of 105 responses, 64 were EMS, 41 were fire. We gave mutual aid 27 times, received it 6 times. We made 20 calls on interstate or south of Interstate 40. 14 of those calls were on Interstate 40. As everyone knows, the brush truck and the engine were in a severe accident on September the 6th on Interstate 40. If you don't believe in God, I think that was a prime example of God's hand on our guys over the interstate as a truck tandem trailer plowed through our scene, narrowly missing a Shelby County Sheriff's deputy, a highway patrolman, 2 Shelby County Fire Department employees, and 2 of our employees, plus a civilian that was on the scene. No injuries at all from anybody involved in the scene. The truck driver did sustain some injuries, but I've been working closely with the town staff on trying to get those apparatus replaced. They've approved requisitions. We're working with our vendors to try to get that equipment replaced as well. Of course, the heavy lead times is delaying some of them, but we're hopeful to have at least the engine replaced by late spring of next year. I'm still waiting on word for the brush truck, but we're working closely with Shelby County Fire. I know the attorney, town attorney, Mr. Anna, working close together, maybe doing a loaner brush truck from the county. They presented that idea to us where we're encouraged about that, to be able to run out of our station for there. There's several other things listed. A couple of the ones I wanted to bring out to your attention is we're doing our first regional fire school that we've not had in probably 20 plus years. Collierville Fire is running that fire school. We have 2 of our recruits for Arlington in that school. 1 recruit from Germantown is in that school. I believe the remaining 14 are Collierville. So they've worked really well together. They even went out to Bartlett. They had a 3-story apartment fire and went out there and did salvage and overhaul at that apartment fire, which was great training for those recruits. They should graduate just before Thanksgiving, and they'll be on company. We also had 2 other resignations. One went to Memphis Fire, one went to a civilian job out on the east or west coast, and we hired 2 of those, but we're still short 3. We're going through the promotional process. Thanks to Mrs. Owens and Mrs. Durant, we're about through with that. We do battalion chiefs interviews tomorrow, and that'll wrap up all of our promotional testing. We're hoping to have the battalion chiefs in position probably around Thanksgiving to late November if everything goes well. There's several other things listed. I'm not going to read them to you. They're on file. I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions for Chief? I do want to thank you. I mean, I know everybody kind of rallied around the guys, or they are. Everybody's okay. I know
Yes,
it's
sir.
kind of a scary scene there.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Chief. Next up, we have, I know we have is Running Pony here? Okay, there he is back there. I didn't know if Tanya wanted to go first, or did you give a quick update and kind of do a segue into Running Pony? Why don't you do that and give your little update, and that'll be good. Sorry to put you on the spot like that.
Thank you. Good evening. I do want to mention that this Wednesday is the Chamber Membership Luncheon. Representative Kustoff is our speaker. You're all invited. You can either email me if you need to RSVP, or there is a link on the Chamber website and on Facebook. So we would love to have you with us. We're expecting a big crowd, even though it's fall break for some people this week. So we are going to see the presentation from Running Pony, and I'm really excited for you all to see it. Kathy, Brittany, Angela, and I have worked together to make this happen, and it was a great effort for everybody. We really enjoyed partnering on it, and both the town and the chamber will use this product,
and the microsite that they'll show you also. And I think it's going to be something we can all be really proud of. So having said that, we've got Corey here from Running Pony, and I've worked with them in the past and found them to be top-notch, and they are recognized nationally for their video work. So I think you'll see a great product when he shows it to us.
Thank you, Tanya. My name's Corey Kennerly. I'm the Director of Digital Strategy for an agency here in the Memphis area called Running Pony. We specialize in telling stories, particularly through video. And over the past few years, that has segued into just more of your traditional media that you see with websites and marketing campaigns and branding. I was fortunate enough to be one of the first graduates from Arlington's first graduating class. So when the opportunity came up to kind of help tell Arlington's story and see how far it's come and how far it is continued, how much growth there is still to be had, I jumped on that opportunity with my team. So I'd like to show you guys kind of what this new Discover Arlington, Tennessee initiative is. And we'll just kind of jump through the presentation and we'll look at a video and as well as briefly at the website. So the Discover Arlington initiative is it's an initiative to elevate awareness of Arlington's, just what Arlington is, how far they've come, all the exceptional things they have going on both for businesses and families. And it's the ideal place to establish themselves and flourish for those either in the Memphis area and other suburbs, that Arlington has a lot to offer that they should consider, as well as recruitment for new work, new businesses, and families outside of the Memphis and Mid-South region that may be considering moving to the area. So the objective and the key components here is a partnership between the town of Arlington and the Arlington Chamber of Commerce aimed at raising awareness, like I mentioned, of Arlington's strengths and attracting these new businesses and families. So the key components are 3 engaging videos tailored to different audiences that we identified. There's a long-form video, which is 2 minutes, that we'll take a look at tonight. There are some other short-form videos that are tailored specifically to reach young professionals and businesses, and then there's another shorter video tailored to focus on families and those considering maybe moving to the area, looking more at the community aspect side of Arlington. The intent of these, as you'll kind of see, there's a lot of different things we've been able to highlight in Arlington, and the intent is throughout the year as this kind of campaign progresses, or as the seasons progress and there's new things going on in Arlington, that we can pull little 6-second, 15-second snippets out of this, use these in advertising campaigns for targeting, whether that's geographic interest or just general targeting. We also want to raise awareness to those who are already in Arlington about what all is going on in the community and the growth that is happening, that growth that has already happened, just to get them excited about the community that they're in. And paired with those videos is a microsite that we designed and we're able to develop. The intent is, since this is a partnership between the town and the chamber, and we're talking about businesses and community and opportunities, that we needed one place for them to land that highlights kind of all these things that then allows them to connect with the various people that they may be looking to connect with. If it's a business, it can point them to the chamber. If they're looking for community information, it can point them to the town site. If they're looking for events that's going on, it can point them to the town site. If they just need to speak to someone, making sure that everything points out. But we needed one kind of hub for everything to live that we could then point out to. So this is the, like I mentioned, the 2-minute video. So we'll watch this just so you can kind of see the story that we were able to tell.
Whether your family is looking for that ideal community to finally call home, or you're a new business owner seeking the perfect location to establish roots and flourish, the town of Arlington, Tennessee is a thriving place to live, work, and play. Our community is defined by its high-quality, safe neighborhoods, with residential expansion offering hundreds of new homes currently under construction, and our exceptional public school system, home to almost 5,000 pre-K through 12th grade students, helps cultivate the young minds of tomorrow's leaders. Arlington is renowned for its small-town charm, including our historic Depot Square, providing residents a more rural, suburban feel that many families and young professionals proudly embrace. Excellent town amenities offer something for everyone. Explore over 68 acres of beautiful parks and green spaces. Join the highly active senior center, or take part in our wide variety of cherished outdoor community events. Grab the family and enjoy the fun, food, sights and sounds of the farmers market, Arlington in April, or music on the square, just to name a few. Our town also has an outstanding array of amazing local restaurants, boutique shops, stores, and businesses, all of which contribute to Arlington's commitment in attracting growth and economic development. And our ever-expanding infrastructure hosts several global companies and a diverse business culture, among them Baptist Hospital's freestanding ER and the soon-to-be completed West Tennessee Veterans Home. Located close to Memphis and just 15 minutes away from Ford's largest manufacturing plant in America, our town serves as a major transportation corridor at the intersection of I-40 and I-269/385. As Shelby County's best-kept secret, our community is rooted in opportunity. So get out and discover Arlington today.
So again, that was the 2-minute long-form video. As I mentioned, we have shorter form videos that are cut down to 30 seconds a minute that specifically target the various audiences with the intent of, as the campaign goes out on social media and various places on the web, that we can break these snippets down into 6 seconds, 15 seconds. You know, if we get close to Christmas and we want to highlight some stuff from the parade, we've got footage of that. So we can then go ahead and tailor these videos and tailor the website specifically for that. Here you'll see just a screen grab on the right of the homepage of the new Discover Arlington, Tennessee microsite. If you go and visit this site, you'll see that there's a lot of statistics. Everything here was facts-driven and statistic-driven when people are making these decisions, whether it's a family, whether it's someone in Arlington just wanting to learn a little bit more about what's going on in the community, whether it's a business or a young professional looking for an opportunity in Arlington, they can go here and find the numbers and the statistics that show how much growth has happened here and how much stuff is currently going on here. On the left, if you'll go ahead and play that, this is just a screen grab of when you visit the site. It's got the looping video that kind of plays in the background. You can scroll down. There's just some little subtle animation things. This is also fully responsive, so it'll work on various devices, however somebody lands on it. And we have the hero section there that has the video. So all of these videos will be viewable here. So if someone were to see the family or the community-focused website, video, and they click and engage with that video, it would take them here where they're not just limited to that. They can also see the business stuff. They can see the long-form video. It kind of includes, it allows people to kind of navigate that journey all in one place. And then, as I mentioned, it highlights the schools, the chamber, and the town here, so that way they can connect with the right person when they engage with that. And if you want to go to the next page here, so then we have these 3 landing pages that are specific to businesses, communities, and then education in Arlington that, again, are how someone sees the ad or who that person is and what ad they see or what version of the video they see will dictate which page they land on and then can navigate through the site from there. So that's just kind of at a glance the Discover Arlington campaign. We're excited to get the word out about Arlington, both to people locally and to people in the region that may be considering moving to Arlington. Any questions or anything?
Great job.
No,
Thank you. All right,
Thank you for being here. And I want to just echo, I appreciate the work that y'all do, but I want to thank again Tanya, Kathy, Angela, Brittany, and whoever else on staff helped out, because I think when I kind of approached Tanya and Kathy back last winter about doing something, it was recollective of the one we did in 2012 that Dwight actually worked for, I think, Channel 5 at the time or something, and helped us put together one. And when you looked at the old, it was Vinegar Gems, and it was the old Brindalay, and there was just, a few things that aren't the same or different. And so I was just trying to find a way for us. I knew that there was some stuff through the chamber to get. We got this, so it's neat because this is something that we know we can update every couple years. We can use it as a town. Other people that are looking to invest here can reference it and use it for their. It's great. It's something we went to this. I think Tyler helped out some on this too, because actually I think my original goal was to get this done by Tyler, but talking with Mr. Mayo back then, it was too large of a project. We'd have to pull him away from the schools, but. He did help. He did. So, but no.
I mentioned this is going to be previewed at the luncheon on Wednesday.
Okay, great. So,
First time a lot of people will see it.
I just want to thank the staff for putting in, Tanya for putting in so much work, and the board for allowing this, because I think it's something that's, when I look at Mr. Patterson here, he looks up, he goes, that's pretty awesome. It is. So, thank you all for your hard work. Let's see. Anything else about the video? Questions? Anything? Thank you for being here. Just a couple of announcements. I think Tanya, since she was thrown on the spot, she forgot to mention the last Music on the Squares in 2 weeks.
The 19th,
And the barbecue is
the 18th and
the 18th, busy weekend. I do want to say,
the Veterans Day program coming up too.
that's November, right? Yeah. We'll have a meeting before then, so I'll let you announce that then, but thank you. Let's see, you mentioned Congressman Kustoff. I just want everybody to know, see, Kroger ribbon cutting is October 23rd, so we're finally getting to that point after 6 or 7 years. I know it's a big one that a lot of people are excited about. And no, none of us know what's going on with the old Kroger yet, so it's just one of those things that's going to be the next big question. And last thing, just so everybody knows, I'll be attending the TSBA conference up in Nashville for a couple nights with Dr. Clark and the school board. Dr. Viox is president, and he's outgoing president, and it's a time where they get to kind of honor. I think they'll have some bands, the students get to perform a lot of stuff, and they kind of represent the area you're from. So I'll be going up and taking a visit for that. So that's all I have. Any announcements from anybody else up here? All right. Committee reports. Any committee reports? All right, on to consent agenda. We have items A through J. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anyone would like to have pulled off? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Harmon, second by Mr. Barker. Any objection? That item passes. Let's see. Next up, any old business? No old business. On to new business. Item A, Resolution 2024-33 to readopt the Town of Arlington, Tennessee debt management policy in accordance with the Tennessee State Funding Board Directive. Mrs. Owens.
Okay. This is a first reading of ordinance 2024-12. This is a complete rewrite of your alcoholic beverage section in your municipal code. We were going through it to make some minor changes and realized that it has not been completely readopted since 2004. And so there was a lot of things that we needed to just go ahead and clean up and make sure that it was uniform to what state law says and also what the board wishes for town. So staff recommends approval. There is a few things we need to talk about to get board direction on.
You've heard the recommendation by Ms. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Brooks.
Second.
Second by Mr. Biggs. Discussion. Do you want to note those few things? Okay.
So they're noted in your ordinance. There are little bubbles out on the right-hand side. There is a section, it's going to be renumbered to 8-210, and it's going to be restrictions as to locations of retailers. And the board will need to decide what section you want this zone to. There's a lot of different options. So in the way that it's proposed is what the town of Franklin, city of Franklin in Tennessee has. And then also in the notes, I also gave you a section of what Bartlett has, but it's completely up to the board as to where you see this section going. This is going to be for your wine and liquor stores. So it's not necessarily a beer restaurant that you're deciding. It's going to be a standalone liquor store. What zoning you would like that to happen. And you don't have to decide tonight, but staff would need direction because we do need to get it finalized before we do our second and final reading in November.
Gotcha. Is that the only one?
There's that one, and then there's also 8-211, which we have talked about for many, many years, and that is going to be up to the board. Currently, your ordinance says that there's going to be one liquor store per 16,000 residents. We have done a lot of research, and there's many different ways you can approach this. You can do one per resident, a number of residents, or you can do like a Bartlett's is limited to 3 liquor stores within the whole city, no matter how many residents they have. So that's a decision that the board will have to make, which way you would like to go. And then if you decide to go one per number of residents, currently it's 1 per 16,000 residents, so you could choose to leave it the same, or you could choose to make it a different number.
And just for recollection, because I know Mr. Barker wasn't on the board then, it was 1 per 15,000 back whenever we changed it, and it went up. We kind of debated on a number because we weren't sure of the census, and we wanted more time to think about it, and here we are. 4 years after the census. We haven't really talked
The
about it.
last,
so-
yeah, we changed it to 1/16 in 2018, so it has been 6 years since you've revisited that section.
So, okay, so you're needing from this board for us to get with you or get with Mr. Lawson or who on this?
Either one's fine.
Okay, and,
The second reading doesn't have to be next month.
okay,
There's a lot of changes here.
Yes.
okay. Just kind of go through and then we'll start kind of.
And then we
weaning
also
through.
need to know if you guys do not like any of the changes that we've made. And all of it is highlighted in red, so you can notice what's been changed or what's being recommended, so.
I'll do
Now,
that.
a lot of that is due to like just language to mirror with the state law, right?
Yes, so our ordinance currently right now does not match state law as the times you can sell alcohol. And so we have a lot of gas stations that are abiding by our ordinance, but then they're calling because they're losing revenue because state law says something. And we have a confusion between businesses as to who their governing body is. So we're trying to match what state law is so that there's no question across the board.
If you go to a total stores versus number of residents, would that take effect immediately? Like, if we said total stores, we wanted to change it where we could have 2 in Arlington. Once the second reading or third reading, however it is, that goes into effect, correct? Once it goes into effect. Okay, then.
That's why it's very important to also consider the zoning as to where you want these stores. Because if you choose to go for Arlington, it would only be allowed in a certain zone area.
So, to that nature, or to that, can we have a reading on portion of it to determine the zoning first, if we wanted to pick out the other, and then come back?
And this doesn't mean you have to make all these changes. Absolutely, if there's certain things that we have more discussion about, we can leave some things in and modify some things. Any of this can be,
Yeah, yeah, I just think
When's
that
the next census? When is,
the next census isn't until, well, if it goes to like per number, then it would be effective.
This is 2030.
very few or two. Everyone I've seen that has a limit has 3 million, has a 3 bar, has 3, 5.
I think Germantown lifted theirs and went to like 7.
that was my next question. What I mean, I guess any board can change whatever they want to on that, as well as the number of citizens, so.
Yeah, so state law is regulating private enterprise, which gets a little questionable. The legislature and courts treat alcohol separately, treating them as these other kinds of businesses. So it's not uncommon for that, but you don't have that kind of limit, so, you certainly don't have that.
No, we don't.
Thank goodness.
So is the distance requirements from like schools and churches, is that mirror state, or is that something that can be changed? I mean, that we could be more stringent or less stringent?
More stringent, the state doesn't have any, distances when it comes to beer. They only govern different lines of beer that are connected to the city. And right now, we have been doing 500 feet. This rewrite actually started because we had some, differences of opinion as to how your measurements.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
So that's how this whole thing started, and then it was a ripple effect. But you can go stricter than you want on distances. We have historically, you guys were originally at 225. Way back when, gosh, probably in 2004, when we first adopted it, and we revised it for 500 feet. And we just have been at the principal structure of the school to principal structure of whatever. If it's a strip center, it's going to be the closest point to that strip center to the school.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Improvements do not do what they do over time for a very long time, so we raised it to 500.
Just a reminder, everybody, talking to your microphones. I know staff, when they're doing the minutes, they always want us to talk in the microphones.
So what is the state law on liquor stores to to schools? I don't know if they differentiate schools, churches, et cetera, but is there
It's not serving, it's,
Nothing? Okay.
No, they do have a law though, and I've added that language in here under 8-211, that says, any municipality or county in which the issuance of 2 or more retail licenses have been authorized, no retail license shall hold more than 50% of the licenses, and that just means that one person can monopolize all of the liquor stores in that town. And that's just straight from state law, so.
But that's only, is that for a third store, or is that including the second store?
No, it includes your second.
Okay.
50%.
So it means if you were to approve to go between 2 stores, the same person cannot own both.
Okay.
Even if you did 3, you probably couldn't do more. You'd have to be 4 for somebody to have 2. Okay.
Again, a lot of decisions to make, but we just wanted to get in front of you all so that you could give us direction.
All right.
Kind of at a standstill as to how.
So everybody knows what you're charged with. We're not even worried about putting this on next month's agenda unless you get enough feedback before then.
No comments and you want it back next, then.
Well, I know we have one that's not here tonight, so it may not be fair to do it, and we'll try to, he'll have the information that he can do it, so. So it's up to, we'll see, we'll get with y'all, and if staff feels like there's enough information to come back and talk about, we can come back and talk about it and still not vote on it, so. Anyway, all right, so any other questions or discussions? This is first reading, remember, so it'll come before us again. So all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Item B, Resolution 2024-31 to approve an amendment to the Master Development Plan for Providence Place, located on Milton Wilson Boulevard, east of Hall Creek. We do have a public hearing on this. I'll turn it over to Mr. Crater and Mr. Lawson on this.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Providence Place is a mixed-use PD originally approved on April 1st of 2019 with Resolution 2019-18, and it was amended on April 5th with Resolution 2021, April 5th of 21 with Resolution 2021-15. This amendment did not significantly revise the overall layout. It did, however, establish 4 primary changes. Most pertinent of this was the designation of age-restricted to the Lofton Building C, or the southern building of the 3-building mixed-use complex in Area 1. The applicant proposes amending the PD, changing the language of the PD, changing the language of the approved PD, eliminating any reference to age restriction or senior housing from the PD placed on the 60 units located in Building C. Applicant indicates that due to changes in the market conditions related to senior housing lending since the pandemic and concerns for compliance with principles of fair housing, the terms age-restricted and senior housing are causing issues with the acquisition of financing for this phase of Providence Place. Applicant states that in lieu of age restriction, they are committed to promotional or discounted lease rates for seniors and other non-discriminatory classes such as honorably discharged veterans. These promotions or discount will not only be applied to Building C, but Buildings A and B also. None of these promotional or discounted terms will impact any class or characteristic protected by local, state, or federal fair housing laws, and eligibility for any such promotion or discount would not be dependent on the identity of any other member of the household. The applicant indicates that, my fault. To illustrate the proposed quality of the development, the following images have been provided of projects previously completed by the applicant. And this is just some issue, they wanted to show some images, the applicant wanted to show some images of what their overall product was going to look like. After careful consideration, staff does support the approval of the applicant's request, and staff is of the opinion that the benefits to the town that this project bring must be considered in this decision. These 3 buildings are at the heart of the overall PD, and if financing cannot be secured, the success of the overall project is in jeopardy. And staff does recommend that assurances concerning the continued acceleration of the progress of the project should be discussed as part of the approval. And Planning Commission did unanimously recommend a approval of this amendment. And we are required, as you said earlier, to have a public hearing for this project, and the applicants are here for any questions.
All right. You've heard the recommendation by Mr. Crater. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Brooks.
Second.
Second by Mr. McKee. We do have a public hearing, so let's, if we can jump into that. Do I have a motion to suspend the public hearing? I mean, suspend the meeting and open the public hearing?
Motion to suspend.
Motion by Mr. Biggs, second by Mr. Barker. This public hearing is for Resolution 2024-31. This was published in the Commercial Appeal on September 12th, 2024. Anyone wishing to speak on this particular request, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Is anyone here to speak on Providence Place? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing and resume the meeting?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Barker. Second by Mr. Biggs. We are back on the main motion. Questions, discussions for the applicant? I know we have Vaughn here. We have the Vaughns and the Orgles here. So they're both here, all four.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. I think what I'd like to do is according to the last bullet point that Mr. Crater had shown there, I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update of where we are with Providence Place. I think that'd probably be relevant to everyone.
You need it up on the screen?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we know, we live it every day. I can tell you exactly
Okay.
what's going on. We're thrilled that we got our base coat of asphalt down for the entire property at this point in time. We are installing the common open space amenities, the walking trail, dog park, things such as that. We are happy to report that MLG&W has come to the table or basically been in the field and has assured us that they're not leaving until the job is done. And we're thrilled about the cooperation that we've received from them over the past few weeks. So as long as we can hold this weather, taking 10 inches of rain on a site over 2 weekends is not ideal to continuing progress, but I think if you see out there, it looks entirely different than it did even 6 weeks ago. So we're on the road to the finish line, provided that weather continues to hold and our contractors are able to continue their work without any interruptions. So that's kind of where we are with the project. We think it's looking lots better out there. Mr. Crater did a good job of identifying what the issue is. And I'm here with Benjamin and Billy Orgel, who represent Tower Ventures Commercial Real Estate, CRE, who are the owners of the project. And it came to our attention during the procurement of financing for the apartment buildings that the way that the desire and goal for this project was put into the outline plan, it led to issues, and let's just say it was problematic. And so I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity, along with Mr. Orgel, to sit down with our vice mayor, who's out of town tonight, along with our town attorney, and discussed kind of the origins of the project and what we were looking for, and how could there be some type of compromise brought about that would still meet the overall intent of the project and yet deal with these issues that we were receiving on the other end. And what we came up with was let's build a welcoming place for seniors, and let's do so through an incentive plan to where we let them know that they're valued citizens. And what we did was, as said, as opposed to making Building C somewhat of a concentration of seniors, my gosh, I'm one of them now, and that's...
You are?
Yeah, I am. Rather than a concentration in a single building, that we would apply this same program to that complex in general, because quite frankly, seniors make great tenants. They're the type people we want living here. But it always helps when things are incentivized as opposed to things being regulated, because even when we started discussing how would we regulate this from a land use perspective, it got confusing. And so we believe that we've reached an accord that actually makes our project meet the original intent that was brought about during the amendment process of the PD, and we're happy to deliver a project that will be able to support it.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. Questions for the applicant? Since you're up there, I know Benjamin Orgel has spoken here before, but Billy Orgel has not. So, Mr. Orgel, can you come up and at least introduce yourself to the board real quick? I'm putting you on the spot. It's personal privilege for me on this one, because he would do it to me. We served on the school board together years ago. So,
Mayor, thank you very much, Billy Orgel. And I appreciate you having us here today and the hard work y'all put in, staff over the last 3 years. We inherited this project. I think it may have, Mr. McKee told me, I think it goes back mid-2000s, and gave us a nice history of the project. And Benjamin, my son, has done a great job along with the Vaughns and bringing it to fruition. And we weren't here at the genesis of the project when a lot of the things were agreed to. We may have done things differently as a developer, and but we applaud what the town's doing and how y'all have really tried to make Arlington a great place. And I watched the video Running Pony did. We use them for things as well, but a great place to be. And we feel that way, and we're committed to it. We're committed to developing this 45-acre tract. If y'all follow the news the last few years, it's just very difficult right now to get a real estate project complete and off the ground. And of course, the pandemic didn't help a lot of that. Regulatory reasons that had nothing to do with the town of Arlington had nothing to do with that either. But I think we've worked through them. We're making a lot of progress over there. And I guess Kevin gave you a good synopsis of what's going on. And Benjamin and I drove the site moments before the meeting, well, just to see what kind of progress took place. But we appreciate it. We appreciate any consideration you give right here. And I think planning staff, Kevin kind of summed it up well, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the applicant?
I like that you're trying to, I guess, supplement it or with like the enhanced leasing or the leasing rates. I'm just curious, like none of that's binding though, right? It's not.
No, it's not. And Alderman McKee asked that I speak to this point and put it on the record since he is not here to be tonight. So the application and the revision is asked to remove the age. We had discussions at length, if you recall, on the different stages of this, between the difference between age targeted and age restricted. Where it came down was age restricted under the HOPA, the Federal Housing Older Persons Act, which says that 80% of the 60 lofts in Apartment C would have to have someone 55 or older.
Yeah.
That is a restriction. In having that, then there is a restriction, yes, that's in place, and it would have been restrictive covenants. That was what was running into problems with the applicant and why they looked at it. So the request was to change it back to age targeted. The issue of what is age targeted, which is what we got to before, was how do you direct age targeted other than just directing? So the suggestion from the applicant is if we are to target, then how will we target it? We would give incentives and give discounts. And so Alderman McKee asked that I just state to the board that he is in support of this because he thinks that this would benefit the seniors and the veterans with the discounts more so than just have one particular building that has some come through. So that's the purpose, is to put a restriction, not a formal restriction. You're right. It can be changed, and it could be changed. Yes.
I applaud what I like the plan.
Yeah.
I like, my only thing is like day one, it could just go away.
It can. It is not a formal condition that is imposed, and it could be changed on that. That is correct, because we cannot put a restriction for them.
Yeah,
we can't restrict that anybody give a discount, that Firehouse Subs comes in, but they give a discount to,
right.
Firemen get a free drink. I'm just telling you that.
Well, they get a free drink. Okay. Yeah, that was probably a bad example for firemen. But yeah, we can't impose conditions that they would make certain. Voluntarily brought that up. That was not a condition that this would be that was a condition that they believe that had other.
Well, it's actually, I appreciate Alderman McKee bringing it up because it's a good marketing strategy. And I think we added in there that we'd like to market to veterans too, honorably discharged veterans. And I'm actually in the senior housing business in other places, and it's actually a challenging business. I mean, people move into senior housing when everybody thinks it's 65, they do it, but they don't. They move in at the average age in ours is like 78. And so 55 is kind of an arbitrary figure, and I don't think, I'm senior. Did you say that too, Kevin? Because I'm 61, so I would qualify. But, and putting people of certain ages in the one spot may not even be good, in my opinion, because I'm 55 plus. I'd rather be something a little more vibrant than that myself and not be cast in one spot. So I think another session, we said, hey, let everybody live wherever they want. But if you're going to be a senior, our marketing strategy will be, we're going to target it to the 55 plus. And I can tell you, we're involved in thousands of apartments. And to me, and this is no offense to anybody who has college children, but I really don't love having, I can't ask age like that, but I mean, having a recent college grad that just got out of a frat party kind of situation for 4 years and then wanting to come live in, I mean, that's really not a good situation whether they can afford it or not. I mean, we would gravitate towards having older people, it's more stable. They're not moving all the time.
Right.
Maybe not even get married because they're already married, and looking to move around for schools. And it is better for the community too, because it doesn't take a lot of the services that people that need the schools. And we heard from police, fire, just all that stuff that goes along with being a little older. So it makes it easier on our community to have an older set of people, not discriminating against anybody, but which we wouldn't. But it makes sense for us. It's easier on the community. So it's actually a good marketing strategy. And we appreciate it being offered.
Other questions, discussion? Mr. Harmon?
Well, originally, when we started this with the 3 buildings, the definition of mixed use was apartments, 2nd, 3rd floor, and commercial downstairs. Well, there was a trade-off on the building C as far as giving up commercial for the senior living. And now I see the definition of mixed use just slowly fading away. So, it's going to get, we just call it mixed apartments with no commercial downstairs. I'm 66. So, the older folks, yeah.
We look pretty good for 61 and 66. That's
Well, thank you. I'm an old fireman. So. But that was the trade-off with the commercial, us wanting to do something for the senior citizens. And for me, we got to draw the line somewhere on this mixed use. I mean, you can't have mixed use where it's 3% commercial and 97% apartments, So when it was given this designation for restricted, I mean, if you want something in writing that's going to be ironclad, it's restricted. Everything else is just a play on words. So, if we're having problems getting funding for something like this due to senior living, give us our commercial back on the first floor,
I was going to say, to that point, I understand what Mr. Harmon's saying, but also, and I've never been for the age restricted. The age target, I'm fine with. Age restricted, I've never been for it, just because of some of the things that we've heard. I don't, unless it's a true senior living where they have skilled nursing and stuff, or skilled people, but to where our resources are going to be diminished, I guess you would say, or they're going to struggle. But I mean, we got to remember that lofts, apartments, whatever you want to call them, they're commercial. They're considered commercial. I hate to say it like that, but they are, as far as the way they're taxed. But to Mr. Harmon's question, we're building, what would it, if something comes along, because we're still talking, next year, moving dirt, you're talking, yeah, I want to see it, I want to see this thing go vertical. We've been looking at it for a while. I want to get this thing going. I don't want to delay it. So what would it take if something changes in the next year, not the targeted or anything, but I'm saying like you start doing it and you have enough commercial where it's coming around on the first building or whatever, and they're like, hey, you know what? We got so much, we want to put it in the second building. What would it take from the town or anything from this process forward if there was wanting to be, you know, hey, we want to put another end cap on or do something? Is that possible without, or does it go back to a PD amendment, or does it?
If they want to change it and add commercial. you're
Yeah,
saying?
if they want to change it and say, you know, I'm just saying, I don't know what the market's going to do. I don't know if half that building down there is more fiscally I mean, that's what I'm saying. From a developer standpoint, is it better commercial? Is it better residential? I don't know how banks loan because I'm not borrowing the money.
I don't believe it would take a PD amendment if they wanted to add or change some of the percentages that they were given. So building A, I believe, is all commercial.
Yeah, building A is all commercial on the first floor, building C has a portion of, at the bottom, no, probably right around a third of the building is commercial on the first floor.
Yeah, and weren't some of the issues why we as a board agreed to the change, I think, was because some of the struggles with parking and visibility for commercial that gets kind of hidden back. I don't know if Mr. Vaughn or whoever remembers that when we kind of swapped that out, the reason why we agreed to half the building or the quarter, whatever that is in the blue building, C, was allowed to have commercial, but then the rest of the ground floor and building B in the middle.
Building B in the middle is all.
Because of the visibility from the road, people trying to park and get to where, you know, that type of stuff. I think that's the discussion I recall. Yeah, and residents still having places to park.
Mayor, I need to tell you this before if I don't tell you soon, I'll forget what it's to.
Now, go ahead.
To your portion, Alderman, about the question about the mixed use, I'd like to point out that this is not the only component of the mixed use plan development. We've still got directly across the street, accessible by decorative sidewalks for a pedestrian-friendly field. We still have retail on that entire center section, all along the front of Milton Wilson and down the side of this access road, this Providence View Parkway.
Right there.
So this, I understand your point about this building in particular, but I would tell you in the context of the overall development, this is a really small portion of that because, again, right across here is commercial lining Providence Place Parkway as well as Milton Wilson. And so we still think that there is a strong mixed-use component to this development. And that's just what I would offer in response.
Good point. I think Mr. McKee, you had something?
I talked to Mr. Lawson about this and one other thing I'll bring up in a minute, but because there's going to be a hotel that when it was proposed to us, it was certain brands, but I've been thinking about if that street is going to be coming in, a lot of people are going to be coming up Airline Road and hanging a right on Providence View Parkway in 10 years, whenever that road completes, right? I mean, next to the emergency room. So they're going to be coming in, and what they're going to see is a hotel. If they pull in the hotel, the only place that's commercial, which most likely is going to be a restaurant, I would imagine, on the end cap, will be that one piece. And so a lot of people won't see the rest of the commercial as they drive up that road, pull in the hotel, and, you know, get out to walk the rest of it if they choose to. It would be great if it's feasible to see some additional commercial as we have a hotel that's going to sit right next to a place that they're going to look at the side of a building that will have limited commercial space to it. And so that's just an opinion as this project changes with access over the next 10 whatever years it is, as that road gets completed and coming in next to Baptist and whatever will be on the other corner.
Where we've stubbed it up, okay, where it stubs up into it stubs up and there's a turnaround down there.
So your main access eventually will be coming off of Airline Road, coming up Providence View Parkway.
You talking about right, the hotel?
Well, the whole front cap is commercial, if I remember correctly. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it's the first third of the building is It goes all the way.
It wraps the building on the side. So, and that's kind of what I was asking, like, is that one of those things that, I mean, we're still a ways off. We haven't, the hotel's not been proposed. I mean, is that something, I guess my question is for us to get to, I mean, honestly, I mean, I understand everybody's concerned, but whether you add 2,000 square feet, is that gonna hold up this process? Is it something that can still be discussed as going through? I'm trying, I know we've all been saying we're sick of looking at dirt and
Areas that are indicated for commercial, they cannot put lofts or residential in that area.
not in the commercial.
Go the other way
That's what I'm saying.
Because it is, typically on zoning, you can do it more less intense.
But it's kind of like the age-targeted thing. It's like one of those things where they come to us and say, hey, we've got more, we've changed, we want to do this here, or they might, I don't know where the feasibility is on that, honestly, from a developer standpoint. I'm not really so worried about that. I'm just saying, if they have to go back and redesign this and do this, I mean, it's already going to take, I think briefly I said, if this gets passed tonight, where are we? I mean, Mr. Orgel, or Mr. Vaughn, whichever one, I think if this was passed as is tonight, we're still looking at spring at the earliest probably, right? Is that
Yeah, I
what
mean, I
you-
think it'd be late spring because,
Late spring.
so one, the plans as proposed, they're done. Fleming Architects did the plans, they're done. We hadn't bid it out yet because we've got to go through the financing process and someone will hold some of y'all may be contractors, but nobody's going to hold their price more than like 90 days. We've got to go through financing. One of the problems, Alderman Biggs, I was going to tell you about financing. We'd have to finance it in two different projects, the age restricted and the rest of it. It's only 154 units. If we were doing, I've got a project in Austin, Texas that's got close to 400 units. And we did have to do two loans, but it was two pretty large size loans. This is a small apartment project, loft project, mixed use. It's 154 units total with about 25 to 27,000 square feet of commercial. So it's pretty significant in the commercial space, as Kevin mentioned. But I don't think it's a huge problem. I'm going to step over here. I just wanted to look at, I think right now the commercial comes down to right in here.
Yes, sir.
Somewhere, so it does what both Alderman, Keith Harmon said about views towards this way. I mean, if we slid it over a little bit more, and kind of rounded out that, I mean, it's not that big a deal. I don't know that we may lose some loft units in the process. I'm sure we can work it out with staff, slide it over a little bit.
I just think that from a usage standpoint, as whenever the hotel comes into it and as the project matures, that it would be beneficial for the town and the people in the hotel and your facility to have a little bit more commercial on that portion of it. I'm not saying to stop the project or anything like that. It's just, it would be something that I think would be beneficial on that side of it.
Well, so the first floor and all and Kevin, correct me wrong, they were, because you had commercial in it, the ceiling heights are a little higher anyway. So what I was concerned about when this came up, and Kevin and Benjamin and Grace and I talked about it, was we'd have to adjust because there's steel involved in it. But I think we've got that in place, that if we added, another 1,000 feet of commercial space, which would kind of round it around there, we could work with staff. We need to find the break point on that, and we'd probably eliminate one of the loft units in there. Something may be eliminated. I think we had 2 fitness rooms. It would work out. I think we could reconfigure without doing a major redraw, which means fees for us, because we've got a completed project. I think we could work that out and move some lines. And I mean, we could commit to an extra 1,000 feet of commercial space facing south on Building C, and it would kind of round it out. And I agree, and we'll probably be part of the hotel when that gets off the ground. And that's a difficult one right now on financing as well. And it's just a tough time to be doing things.
Benjamin, are you wanting to say something? I see you itching.
I had an idea.
Are we going to agree?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of
Is
wisdom.
Mason going to come up now and disagree?
This is
Do
where
I
the
need to
student
state
becomes
my-
a teacher right here.
Do I need to state my address and
Yeah,
name?
just state your name for the record.
Benjamin Orgel. Thank you, everyone. And my idea, rather than putting square footage, so we don't have to go back to conversation, what if we took 2 of our loft units on the bottom floor next to the commercial, and we got rid of 2 loft units and turned it into commercial?
I'm fine with that. I think that it would be beneficial to the entire project to add some commercial, especially on that outer perimeter of it. Because I agree with you, stating a specific square footage would become cumbersome when you get ready to finish off the other parts of that project.
Well, that's what worries me about saying 2 lofts too, though. So, I mean, because I don't, I would just say, is this something that we could work with staff? We know what the goal is and work with staff, and if there's some minor adjustments to roll that around and give it a better look, I mean.
I would suggest that this, if the applicant is in agreement with this, you can make modifications and they do the log units. I wouldn't reduce the overall number of units because they could reconfigure it for double numbers. So I wouldn't alter the set of production. If they reconfigure how we do the logs internally, they might have to get log units if they just reconfigure the space.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't put a number in there, correct? We just say, yeah. Yeah, I think everybody understands the concern, the goal, and we're not trying to tell you all how to run your business.
I remember what I said.
I think the request was just to get a little more wraparound, I think for visibility to make it look, I think that's what the request was. And you guys are gonna have to you guys work with staff. We trust staff to make it work.
I agree with that. The other thing I was gonna bring up, first off, I'm on the DRC, so part of the process of approving the appearance of it. It's an incredible looking facility, and I think the people in Arlington are gonna love it. But there was some noise around the hotel being dual branded at one point. I just want to speak for myself and others that that's not what we were initially led when we put this project on here. I really would like to push back on that idea and ask you guys to not go that way from a branding standpoint on the exterior of the building. If you want to do whatever you want to on the inside of the building, but I just drive down the interstate and I see buildings popped up with 2 brands, and it's not very attractive. And I know there's some places in downtown areas that have dual brands, and one side of the building you walk in and it has a whole different look, but that's a downtown area in a major city typically, but in a suburban area where you have dual, I can't, and I don't mean disrespect with this, I just think of a Taco Bell KFC restaurant combo, right? It's not as pleasantly sightful as a single branded item. And so I would just like to put that out there and on the record that that's not what we initially were told. That's not what we initially discussed when this project went forward. And I hope that y'all will go back to the original intent of this project and have a single branded hotel.
I don't want to get into that. I know we're not here tonight on that, but there may be an because I know myself and Mr. Lawson have met with these groups before and met with, I think the discussion really wasn't, it never was mentioned a single or double. It was mentioned Hilton brand, I think was specifically the Hilton brand, and that's where I think they got the flag. And from what we heard, I know Mr. Lawson and I discussed this, from what we heard from the Hilton brand, this is basically the way that they're moving forward. I'm not saying it has to be like, but that's the way I think Hilton is pushing, like, if you want the flag, this is what you're going to, it's more driven by the flag than the developer. Is that correct, or?
We're not the hotel developer, and actually our partner in it got a little cold feet at the moment, has cold feet because of what's happened out in Haywood County.
Down 15 miles up the road.
Yeah, and because that's been a big selling point. And that was a big selling point with Marriott and or Hilton on anything. So we're kind of at a standstill right now, and looking, I think we're going to meet in 2 weeks with another hotel group on that to see how they envision it. but we're going to be the owners of the lofts, and the commercial space. So we're concerned what goes as much as
I understand.
you guys are too. I mean, we got a big investment
Yeah.
going next door, and it's important to us that it's done right. And that's why actually we didn't go with the original hotel group that wanted to buy it, because I went and looked at some of their property, and I didn't think that's what I wanted as my neighbor.
Well, when we first, and this was pre you guys buying it, purchasing the property, it was sold to us that it was going to be very much like Thornwood, and a Hampton Inn was named in that discussion, if I'm not mistaken. And so, for me, and I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, that's what I stay in my head. Instead of coming in with that and then lowering it down, I think we need to hold ourselves accountable to what was discussed and sold. And I know it wasn't you guys, but you bought the property that was sold on that idea to us. So my encouragement would be to find a similar product to that and do a single branded. I just think that this product and your project that you got looks way too good to do a dual branded hotel next to it. That's my opinion. So.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with your opinion, but I stayed in a Hyatt place down in Dallas that was a dual brand, and it was the nicest hotel I stayed in a while. So it was kind of, it just depends on where it is. And it was in a very nice part of Dallas too, though. So I think it depends on location. So I think that's something when it comes forward, we'll have to have that discussion. But Mr. Vaughn?
Thank you, Mayor. And Alderman, I appreciate your sentiment on that. What I would say is that you guys do a pretty good job with design review around here. Y'all have pretty high standards, and it's manifesting itself out there as we see all along the way. I would say that we would ask to be allowed to accept the challenge to address when that time comes to see what happens. Because as they move to a new developer, or new hotel developer, it may only be a single brand, and that's correct. But I think from our conversations for all of y'all tonight, you're seeing some pretty transparent conversation from people who are here to want to partner with you and your staff and become members of the community. And they're the executioners of a plan that they didn't, that's not a good term, executioners. They are the ones who are actually bringing about the plans, and they're investors in Arlington, and they're putting their money at risk, and they're not speculating on these entitlements. What they're doing is they're trying to deliver what was conceived, whether or not that was an appropriate commercial venture at the time. These guys are taking it and bringing that out of the ground. And so what I would just ask is that, and y'all have done a great job with us to date, is give us feedback on things. Let us share with you what we're seeing from the marketplace as it goes on. And we think, at the end of the day, rather than say, hey, as of today, let's do this, let's cross those bridges when we come to it, because something new may be out that none of us know about, and we don't want to preclude ourselves. But your message was received loud and clear, Alderman, and we'll take that into account. And if we think that we know that whatever hotel product goes in there is going to have to, the site itself is going to warrant that it be very attractive and provides a good investment for its developers as well as its guests that stay there. And so I guess that's my long way of saying is that folks talked about things years ago, and we're trying to deliver on them. And sometimes we run into things due to market conditions that are different than what was expected back then. And so I just ask for your continued cooperation and listening to us and letting us tell you what's going on from our end so that you can understand why some of these requests come to you. It's a little bit different than whenever you're just dealing with lines on papers. Now we're dealing with things that cost a lot of money. And so that's what we're trying to get to tonight.
I know we kind of got out in front of our skis on some of this, which is fine. So, but appreciate the dialogue.
I was just going to say one thing, that I was never necessarily a fan of the restricted anyways. If you look at the apartments across the street, I would say, venture to say that well over 50% of the folks that are in that complex are of senior age. We've got some really good friends of ours that are in there, and I think that you'll see very similar things with that. So I don't have an issue with that part of it. And I would also like to say, Mr. Orgel, that as you saw in the video earlier about Discover Arlington, it'd be a great place for a future world headquarters or anything like that. We'd love to have you out here.
All right, any other discussion?
Just to shadow what Jeff said, I agree with the age restricted. I wasn't a big fan, even though I'm 25 and I'm holding. By the way, still holding to 25. I like what you're doing. I'm gonna stick on target where I'm not going over to the next development of the potential motel, hotel, whatever you wanna call it.
No, not motel.
It ain't here yet. We're talking specifically about this project. I like all the feedback that they've given you. I think the little addition of some commercial is a great idea. Make it work. I think
Thanks,
this
sir.
project will spur some growth in some other areas in town and give some direction to some of the other developers as well. I think it's a great project.
All right. Sorry it took so long to get there, but when we get the people players here, we wanna play in the sandbox with you a little bit, so. We had a 5-hour school board meeting. Oh, no, we had 8-hour school board meetings. All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes.
Thank you so much for your
We won't be
consideration.
offended if y'all leave, thank you. Next up, item C, Resolution 2024-32 to authorize the transfer of monies from the Learning Center Library assigned fund balance and Public Works Park Campus assigned fund balance to expense line item in general administration, and authorize Mike Wisman to enter into professional services agreement with Renaissance Group to provide architectural and engineering services for the Town Hall addition. Is this going to Mrs. Durant? Okay.
The town of Arlington has been very fortunate to be focused on acquiring property and evaluating locations for a new town hall since 2016, with the latest being a 353-acre tract that the town recently purchased from the state of Tennessee. However, in examining the master plan for that acquisition, it was discussed that you may need an additional 88 acres to better situate the infrastructure into the site and to have better access and visibility of where town buildings may be located. In discussing that with town hall staff, we have decided that it makes a lot of sense with the master plan, including the best uses, locations, infrastructure, utility, roadways, access, circulation, architectural and engineering plans, financing, and ultimate construction could take several years. The departments located within town hall include administration, finance, human resources, information technology, planning, development, code enforcement, and they all have an immediate need to add staff to help facilitate the growing workload on the current staff. We've held off asking for that additional staff because we have no space to put them. And with it looking like town hall is a new town hall is getting a little bit further away, we are looking at asking the board to consider adding on to the existing town hall, increasing the amount of office space to accommodate the needs to grow staff and have additional meeting space. This would allow the town to take its time to acquire the additional state property if desired. Looking at the other 2 parcels as well, there's 3 parcels total that have been considered for a new town hall. Complete the master plan and make decisions on how, when, and where new facilities will be located. The proposed improvements to the building would allow the building to be an asset to the town for many years to come and growth in the future, even after a new hall is constructed. Staff is respectfully asking that the board consider reallocating $500,000 that was set aside for the library fund balance and $500,000 for the public works fund balance to allow us to examine what it would look like to add on to this facility as soon as possible.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Durant. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Harmon, second by Mr. Brooks. Real fast before we get into this, so I know that you heard a lot of talk and it's all on the record, but to kind of summarize that, we've been out of space. We bought land for a new town hall. We bought more land we changed our plan as we went. And until we get that other piece of property that goes with the land over there, which is indefinite time right now. I mean, we can speculate it's 1.5 years, 2 years out, but it may not be. To do the master plan, we've been stuck in a holding pattern for a while. Staff came with this idea, and I was receptive and in agreement right off the bat, just because I've joked for years about not having an office. I could care less about my office. What I'm saying is I've watched Kathy go from front to back to across the street to from office to closet to not having an office back to a small room. I mean, and that's our city manager. I mean, it's not a good look. And so not only that for what we have currently, but we cannot grow with the needs of and we know as we hear with projects like Providence and Hawthorne and those projects coming up, planning departments getting very taxed. And we're going to need additional personnel and additional space. So this seems like the most feasible and practical way to use money and still, just like the land next door, whether we use this building for one of our buildings down the road, whether we use it for whether we decide, a future board decides to sell it off, just like the land next door, the 15 acres we have over here, it's money well invested to me to kind of get back and at least keep us growing with what our growing needs. So that was my summary. It was still long. I'm sorry.
The scope of services with Renaissance Group would include a one-story addition of approximately 2,500 square feet. Project space shall include a lobby, offices, conference rooms, restroom, one single additional restroom. Storage areas still would be a shared break room. Architectural, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, engineering services for the additional space. Evaluate existing mechanical systems and engineering services for possible renovation and or replacement. Civil engineering, field measuring, some of that field measuring's already been done. And assist the town with solicitation of construction manager at risk. Mr. Crater, with his architectural background, has drawn a floor plan of what that might look like. Now, this is just in-house schematic design Mr. Crater did. I'm lucky to have his skills on staff to be able to do that. As you can see, the board chambers remains pretty much untouched, but you have a nice big entryway and new gathering space instead of people coming in the side door and gathering in that smaller hallway in front of the restrooms. You now have this larger entryway with the door from the street. So you would be adding on to the front of the building, and you would basically be doubling the size of your offices to allow for future growth. And I'll let Ms. Owens speak to the need for her staff to grow, and then Mr. Crater can speak to the need for his staff to grow if you'd like to.
That's really up to the board if they have specific questions for. I know everybody's had their individual discussions. So if anybody has anything specific for Mrs. Durant, Mrs. Owens, Mr. Crater?
I'll just say that when this was kind of shared with me, I think it's a great idea for a lot of reasons. But one, I understand we need the additional space, and that's the main reason. But two, in the back of my mind, as we've talked about the new town hall and all this stuff, I've been always wondering about this building. What are we going to do with this building? And so to me, we can really do this in a way that sets us up to be able to use this building for decades. Even though we will eventually be moved out of town hall, this can still be a very useful building. And I really like the fact that we're talking about expanding it towards the road so that what people see will actually be the new part of the building. And so I think we have a great opportunity to really improve the aesthetics of this building and have it be something that can be used for decades for the town. So I think it's a great idea, and it's to me, from the cost standpoint, it's pretty feasible to me. And I've given my opinion to staff and just told them, don't skimp on the aesthetics. Like, if we have to spend a little bit more to make it look really nice.
Up to our standards.
Up to our standard, then we need to do that, so.
Any other specific discussion or questions for any of the staff? Comments?
We're considering transferring $1 million. What do we think this project's actually going to cost? Because it's not going to be $1 million.
No, sir, it'll be more. You do have an additional $2 million set aside for a new town hall.
go that route. We had it calculated at $450 a square foot at an estimated 2,500 square feet would be $1,250,000. But there is some adjustments to the roof lines, and we are suggesting that you add a parapet all the way around the building. You're not gonna be able to buy brick that matches the existing brick on buildings, and the brick will end up being painted. But adding the parapet and changing the roof is going to add substantially to the cost. We do not know exactly what that is yet. As soon as we get an idea of what that is, I'll shoot that cost analysis to you. The estimate that was discussed with Mr. Crater last week on what we're talking about with the parapet and the roof was an additional $300,000 to $400,000.
But that was also included in the original roof as well, so we're not necessarily 100% sure of the net difference for the parapet.
It all depends. So, yeah, I spoke with that architect too, so it all depends on what we want. We as a board and we want staff, do we want the roof, do we want the building to look more like the fire department when it's done, I guess, as far as roof lines, or do you want it to look more like a commercial building like that? And that's gonna be.
What you're gonna get if you just do there's really two options. You can do go the parapet option, or you're gonna get just a really, really high gable. A big gable roof. Huge. You know, ultimately speaking with architects, you know, they recommend, they think aesthetically this is the better route to go, but it's gonna be more expensive. So that's ultimately up to you guys.
The $450 a square foot I got from several contractors that are doing work in our. Now, it's on the high side. So we're trying to err toward the high side, and then we got the cost estimate on the roof.
And real quickly, the discussion we had with the architects about the process of contracting it out
Yes, sir.
to expedite it.
Yes, sir, that's that project manager. So instead of going your typical RFP for a, RFQ for request for qualifications for, excuse me, instead of going bidding out for a contractor after the plans are finalized, you go out for an RFP for a construction manager who actually works with the architect on the set of plans as a construction manager, so that you're locked into a price up front, because that construction manager is working with that architect and engineer. Am I stating that correct?
Yes, so basically how it works is your RFQ secures both your contractor and your design professional, and they work together throughout the process. And ultimately, as you go through the process, you design your cost engineering the process as you go. So when you get to the end of the process, the contractor is very comfortable with the overall building, and he provides a very accurate bid. And basically what he's doing is buying out the project at that bid. So you don't get change orders or anything like that unless we add anything to it or make any changes to the final product. It's a pretty good process. I've done it several times in my previous life in development, the way I work. It's pretty smooth.
And we were discussing doing that on a new city hall when we were designing it on 15. That seems to be the new way of controlling costs, so that you don't end up with someone who underbids the project and then you're like.
Yep, a lot of change orders.
Gerald, where do you think the actual timeline is on that property over there being the current uses being across the street and that property being vacated?
They told us they would not really discuss that back with us until they got the site open, and the determination internally of what the valuation is, as well as the site assessment, and obviously that is what they are discussing with the demolition area.
We're a year and a half,
Probably 2 years.
a year and a half minimum, probably 2 years.
Yeah, I was figuring 2 years.
Probably 2 years.
All right.
They did confirm the first conversation with us.
So 2 years before a conversation. Okay.
And then a master plan, which is another year and a half.
And then what's the timeline on this?
On this project?
If we approve it?
We can have this architect start work tomorrow, and you can be 4 months into the negotiations between the construction manager and the architect before you're ready to start construction, so it'll probably March, April,
When they start
construction.
and walk-in date finished?
Say 6 months, 6 months, if we got a good contractor, 6 months.
Well, and that's the good thing about the CMA risk model, is that you choose the contractor. It's not a lowest bid type of situation.
ripping off the roof and doing what they need to do on tying all three of these roofs in together, then, have to have some hybrid working from home, working from the office, working from this side of the building.
Temporary building in the back parking lot?
We've
have to.
done that before.
And if we have to put a temporary building on the top parking lot.
Temporary building in the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've thought of those things.
All right.
What do you really think that this thing's gonna stay below 2 million? Do you really think this is gonna stay below 2 million? Yeah, that's not overly comforting. But because I don't think it'll stay under 2 million.
$1,250,000 plus the 400 is $1,650,000. So even on the high side, we think it's $1,650,000.
I think we'll touch 2. And that's just based on the fact that everything has always come in higher than what we planned for it to be.
True.
This is for the departments and also public too. In the last 2 years, we have invested a lot of money into this building, with a brand new sewer line, a brand new gas line. So we have, you have spent money, so it's not really completely.
Our IT closet, move our janitorial closet.
I think that one of the things that has been coming to my mind, I'm not against the project. I'm not sure what the long-range plan is with this facility once it's done. Because I still think that if that property comes available in 2 years, we're gonna move forward with that if we have that opportunity. And then we're gonna begin having the conversations about a master plan for the new town hall and municipal complex. And so we'll have invested $2 million into this to turn around and invest, we don't even know what that could possibly be, about $20 million in infrastructure, et cetera. Does this property even, at that point, when it's completed, do we have an idea of what we would use it for? Because I'm afraid that it's not sellable at what we would have invested in it at that point.
You have the floor.
One thing I do want to say, Mr. Craig's not here, but he did talk to me, and he did say that what he does not want to happen is for this to be passed and us to stop talking about.
I agree.
This is only a stopgap. This does not solve all of our problems. This will give additional staff to Mr. Prager and myself, but in my department alone, you will still need your own standalone IT department in the next 5 years. This building 100% could be turned into IT, it could be turned into fire administration, it could be police administration in 15, 20 years, how long that's out. We talked about housing, planning and code, and engineering is gonna be coming in-house.
Do we think that,
The new town hall that was designed currently, is already too small if everyone.
I understand. Do we think that this firehouse that we currently use will be in operation at this location under this roof in 20 years?
Well, here's to that point, until this board decides to build a new fire station, it's gonna have to be. And so the same thing as this building, I know you and I have talked, we're kind of in agreement we think this corner is valuable. But until this board decides to build another fire station, that's just pie in the sky to talk about what it could be, so.
And I agree
And so
with
with
that.
this and the land and all that, there's opportunities. I mean, it's probably, this building is probably gonna be dealt with by a future board that none of us are gonna be on, maybe. I mean, maybe Dwight. Dwight's the newest guy. But.
Is that this is also that little space we have is your IT hub for the entire city right now. And so even if you were to sell this property, it will take us years to figure out a great IT to every other facility that you have. So that's something to consider, not to sway you either way, but.
And also another thing to think about too is that this building will appreciate value. You know, the $2 million you spend now, 15 years from now, is gonna be it's gonna be more valuable just because the building will appreciate.
Kind of like the land we bought next door.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're.
I'm just saying that I think that, like I said, I'm not against it. I just don't think that we've had some conversations around, we've talked about putting as much as we can on that property over there. What can this be used for? What can it be sold for? We don't know. I agree with Chief as he's over here shaking his head that this building here is not a 20, 30-year plan. And so we may not be ready to build something, but as we're putting money into this thing, sorry, Chief, I didn't mean to throw you under the bus on that deal.
No, it's not. The first fire station we tore down.
Thank you. I'm just saying that if we're gonna have these conversations and looking at this, Mike and I had talked about having the big picture and not doing anything piecemealing. And that's one thing that I don't want to see us doing with this, is that in 5 years from now, we're like, well, we need to put the fire station, because this one's here. I'd like for us to continue the conversation.
We would have a long-term plan that we could follow.
And I think we started that with, well, initially this property, but over there. I think we started it. I just feel like this is being,
On the 2 acres next door.
I know.
We went to the 15.
In 4 years, roughly maybe since COVID, basically, we have had, like you said, 1, 2, 3, 4 plans, because the way the market goes and the way the land.
Next year's budget, Ms. Owens needs to almost double her staff.
Yeah.
Is how we got to this
Yeah.
discussion. I don't disagree with anything, not at all. And this shouldn't slow down your momentum on building a new town hall. You need that very badly. But this building can be used for any number of things that we could sit here and talk to you about tonight, and things that you haven't even yet realized as the town continues to grow. This fire station, yeah, it's small.
It's not the first one. It's not the first one.
It's the first real one. I've talked to the firemen myself personally. They love this station. They think it feels like home. But yeah, I mean, the board has a lot of important decisions to make. And I think one of the whereases within that resolution was whereas so that, you know, you can decide how, when, where the facilities need to be as you get ready to grow the city. But in the meantime, every one of these people in this corner over here's work goes through this office. Payables, payroll, everything. And Ms. Owens' desk is a testament to the stacks and stacks and stacks of paperwork. And her ladies are busy, every time you walk in here, and it's sometimes hard to keep up. We had auditors last week, and I had to ask the directors to leave them alone. Hold all your business, hold your purchase requisitions, hold your POs, hold your conversations with staff while we got through the audit. So this is me sympathizing with the workload that Mr. Prayer and Ms. Owens have on them, and it is not healthy and safe for the town to have so few people doing so many functions. We need to have more people learning and knowing the business of how to run this town on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so to Jeff's point, I think we know, I mean, I think I've got to feel where the board is on this, that we just got to get, I don't want to, we're about to vote on it, but to Jeff's point, and to some of the other conversations we've had, even at the recent master plan, it probably wouldn't hurt to give staff some guidance, not immediately, but to start looking, what does the fire needs look like in years down the road? What does, I mean, I know we're saying now we're trying to accommodate staff that we're trying to hire next year and beyond, but that's going to be temporary. So these are discussions that we need to have, but I don't know if they're going to, tonight, I don't know if tonight we're going to decide what's going to happen in this building.
And I'll take some ownership as I was not able to get enough dates for a work session. And I'm going to be selfish about it. My kid was playing her last season of volleyball. And so Dad was going to be at those games, and we'll work out the rest. But I do think that would be healthy for us with staff. We don't have to have an architect involved, sorry, to sit down and have some healthy conversations about coming together to figure out what the next 25 years of town projects and staff and buildings, et cetera, look like, so that we're not sitting here going, hey, how do we got to spend $2 million on a building because we're not prepared.
Well, and there's a lot, I mean, most places do have like a 2040 plan or 20, I mean, that's fine, but I do think that we need to give staff that direction to do interior assessments first before coming to, before we have like a work session, try to do that where we throw a bunch at it, let them kind of individually kind of see where they see the trends are going.
For a capital improvement plan as part of the
And we talk about this stuff.
Yes, sir, we do. We talk about all of this, and we do not approve the budget until first reading in May, second reading in June. But Ms. Owens does a real good job with the budget. The directors do a very good job of assessing their needs and telling us where those needs are 8 years out, 10 years out, what that looks like, and how we need to grow the town. So part of your budget book that you should have just recently received is the CIP plan, and each director puts a lot of thought and effort into that CIP plan. So get involved in that budget process whenever possible.
I'd like to say, Mr. Crater, thank you for the work that you did on this, because you've got a lot of things on your plate, and your staff has a lot of things on their plate, and so I know this took away from managing those as well. And as many questions I've had tonight, I do want you to know that I appreciate what y'all, and we all do, the fact that y'all have worked on top of each other for way longer than necessary. And I think we all want to come up with something that works best for staff and town. We just also want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success long-term. And so that's why the questions come up. It's not anything of being critical of an idea or anything like that. I just want to make sure that when we're putting our name behind it, that it's something that long-term is successful. So
Mr. Crater scribbled this on a napkin.
usually where the best projects start.
All right.
Long-term is challenging for us.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
always
when we met with the, what group?
Kimley Horn.
With who?
Kimberly Warren.
Yeah, we spent an hour and a half there, had all these plans, and we all gave feedback, but there was no consensus.
That's why I said I think staff needs, and we'll wrap this up right now because we got one more agenda. But I think staff, and they do with their CIP, and it may be 5 to 8 years out, but we maybe need to let them kind of see where some of them are. And honestly, it may take some of us all sitting down saying, this is kind of what I envision, and us just kind of sending that all together and letting that information kind of mix up and see where it is. I mean, that doesn't mean anything's going to happen, but that's how a plan's going to formulate. So, okay. Oh, yes, yes, you can.
I just want to tell you guys, we do as staff understand that, and we understand that it is going to take a long time, and we want it to be done right. I think we, at that work session alone, talked about town hall because it's, 500 locations. We were all like, this is going to take forever, but we're at the point, and I have been here almost 11 years, and I've never asked for another staff member, but we are at the point in my office that no other department can grow until I can get someone else, because we can't take on any more work. And so that's where this came. So we do understand that this is going to take a while, and we know that we want to continue with this town hall. We were just, in my heart, the first promise we have staff is actually running the facility. In my heart, I was thinking about throwing money away. That's what I'm about money. But this is something that we can, it could potentially be used in the town. So I don't know if it's
Well, and I'll say this as a plug for it. I asked Gerald, there's a town that's near us that wants to be Arlington, but they're not. They have a town hall on 70, and I asked him, I said, what's the square footage of that? Because we're a similar sized town, and he found out, and it's double the size of this building. So we're similar size, doing similar scopes in half the space of what we're doing, so.
And we have more
Because of
employees.
that.
And we have more employees.
That's right. So anyways.
Cover your ears, and we do it better.
So anyway, let's get, all right, any other discussion? Let's get to the vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Trying to save some conversation here. All right, so we have item D, which is Resolution 2024-40 to approve the economic impact plan for Hawthorne mixed-use development. Mr. Patterson.
Mayor, Mr. Patterson's here to handle that again. I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay.
Two other things maybe I'd like to say, but thank you, Mayor. So the economic impact plan that's before you is substantially similar to the one that came forward last time I was here. There's a few minor cleanups that were made. The statute was amended. So there's a number in there that represents the project and how that's defined. That's been fixed. There's also, as you may recall, Mr. Hill identified two small parcels that may
How's this change
Well,
timeline? Oh, sorry.
You've heard the recommendation by Mr. Patterson. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
I got a motion by Mr. Barker, second by Mr. Biggs. Your question, Mr. McKee?
How's this change the timeline on where we're at?
This reapproval doesn't change the timeline in any real way. We have this, and then development agreement will come forward. There will also be future meetings, loan agreements will go through the IDB. But this didn't slow us down. It's a step I wish we didn't have to take, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything. It's not a project now.
Does it have to go,
Still got to go to the county. It has not gone to the county,
Correct.
correct?
Our current plan is to go to the county committee, the economic development committee this Wednesday, and then the full commission.
Hopefully. We'll be there Wednesday morning to, I know myself, Mr. Patterson, I know we have the developers here, Mr. Rudd. Any other questions? This is just kind of really clean up. IDB met on this earlier. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Next, we got the second part, well, another resolution, but similar concept. Resolution 20, item E, Resolution 2024-41, approving the development agreement for Hawthorne mixed-use development area. Mr. Patterson.
As I just alluded to, this is the development agreement. As I was explaining to the IDB, think of the development agreements that come to this board, anytime there's a standard development going in, subdivision, are approving the steps they have to take in order to put in development infrastructure. This is a similar agreement that deals with the flow of funds through a TIP with respect to the development order and that public infrastructure. Fairly standard, signed off by the IDB, the developer who's here tonight. And then allows this mechanism to work.
Heard the recommendation by Mr. Patterson. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McKee. Second by Mr. Brooks. Discussion or questions? Again, like I said, we will be, hopefully this process from the county commission standpoint could be taken care of as early as next week. I know I spoke to the developers as far as, I know the question that everybody else has, there is no timeline on it, but there are some FEMA issues that we will have to get worked out before, that the developer will have to get worked out before any type of movement. So even when it goes to the county commission, I know the next question is going to be, when's dirt being moved? It's not going to be, it's FEMA, there's some FEMA issues that we got to deal with down there. So it's going to, it just depends on where they are in the process as far as that. But I asked that question specifically before this meeting, but, so I hope I'm not speaking out of turn for you, Mr. Rudd. Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Any other new business? All right. Do I have a motion, do I have a motion to approve the bills for payment? Motion by Mr. Harmon, second by Mr. McKee. Any objection to paying the bills? Seeing none, that item passes. Any other announcements before we adjourn? We have a motion to adjourn. Motion by, y'all quit whispering. I say, motion by Mr. Harmon, second by Mr. Barker. No objection, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
I was gonna add to Jeff's comment, and we have a lot less debt. Oh.
Y'all gonna get this guy in trouble.
No, listen, I sent a text the other day. He said, man, I wish we were as rich as they are. I don't know, y'all afford to build everything and own everything.
It's not that we're rich, it's just we're not cheap.
It's they're maxing out the credit card.
I'm just saying, you know what? Hey, listen, y'all keep doing what you're doing in Arlington.
That went a little longer. I'm sorry, ladies. I know it's a long night, and I'm sorry. I thought we'd get out a little earlier. I didn't think there'd be as much discussion, but. Well, kind of started going. I knew, and then I saw his wheels turning.